Good afternoon, everybody. This is your best friend Justin from J Master Productions. Now, if you are in the realm of so called conspiracy, if you are a truther, if you are seeking factual information, if you are in the alternate media, a lot of you have probably heard about this incident that took place over the weekend in Minneapolis with Mr. Jake Lang, who is a far right political activist, let's put it that way. I am a little bit familiar with Jake Lang only because about a month ago when I was in the gym, there's this dude who sent me a video on him. We always talk about, I mean, this dude isn't awake, who I'm referring to, but he's aware of these alt media guys because he's a younger dude. I think he's like in his early 20s. So, and a lot of these guys are more conservative minded, like I always talk about, and they're seeking information beyond the mainstream, and they run into people like this, as I've spoken about many times. So Jake Lang, in the video that this dude in the gym showed me, he was, I believe, in Chicago at some courthouse, and he was preaching to all these politicians or whoever about the illegal immigrants and how we got to get them out and how nothing is America first, everything is all these other countries first before the Americans, and the Americans are suffering while they're letting these illegals come in and we're paying for them, right? Yada, yada, yada. The typical illegal immigrant talking points when it comes to people who lean on the right. Anyway, apparently he was attacked by all these far left anti-ICE protesters, as you can see here. This is the video that's been going around, and I'm on his X page because I think it was Sunday. All these videos of this guy was surfacing, and it was pretty crazy, actually. Now, could this all be controlled out? Could this be planned? Absolutely, that's not out of the question. But I'm not here to debate that, if this guy is a Fed himself or not. But obviously, he stirs up and he, excuse me, he plays an obvious role in dividing people when it comes to politics and takes political sides. And listen, Jake Lang himself and all these people in the protest, all these people here don't see the bigger picture, right? Like all these people are want the government to come in and save the day, right? They whether they're on the left or the right, like in 2020, the left wanted the big daddy government and big pharma and all these giant mega corporations to come save the day and comply, and no one will bother you and no one will get hurt and we can just go back to normal. That's the same thing here with the immigrants, right? It's like the illegal immigrants, and same with the American citizens, if asked by ICE, must show paperwork to prove they're a citizen. And they've even warned us about this, right? That American citizens might get questioned by ICE and to have your documents ready and all that stuff. So the conservatives now are saying, just comply. No one will bother you. No one will get hurt. Just so we can go back to everyday normal life. Just comply. Do what the government says. And you'll be fine, dandy, and you'll be on your way, and we'll be on our way to a greater good for America, right? And for the people. That's what the conservatives they all think. They all think that the government is their friend. They keep thinking that the government is here to help them. The bigger picture here is that government isn't going to help you. You see, on this channel here, and what I know to be true, is that if anyone if anyone is talking about politics still and taking political sides or looking up to so-called authority or anything government related to come in and help, they are misled, right? They are misleading their fan base as well, because the fan base keeps thinking that, oh, well, we just got to get different people in political power. We just got to abolish and make sure that the other side doesn't win and America will be okay. And you see, I understand it, right? The America First stuff, because we live in the United States, right? I'm an American citizen. I was born here. I've lived in New Jersey my whole life. And the issue is that people just can't get over the government. They can't look past politics. They can't seem to understand that the government is not the answer. People think if there's like anarchy or something, that if there is no authority, if there's no police or military, that we're all going to just destroy ourselves. And you know what? Maybe with this current state of humanity, yes, because we've been trained and brought up to be animals and hate ourselves and hate each other. But if we just grew up in a world where truth was at the forefront and we were properly educating people from the day they come in this world, and listen, no one's ever going to be perfect. There's still going to be bad apples among us, even if everything is perfect, so-called. But it's up to us. We need to take more responsibility for ourselves and to educate other people in our community. And especially with the internet now, you could just post stuff online that anyone in the world could see at any time of day. So it's never actually been easier to spread a message than it is now. It's just the unfortunate part for people like me and who are actually spreading a good message is there's algorithms, like I've said many times, that work against us and that make it very hard to get the information out there. Um, but that's my point, really. Like that's why I just want to cover this real quick. I mean, this is really crazy, all this stuff, right? And I know also it plays into the whole Israel stuff because I'm sure this guy Jake Lang is anti-Israel, just like Fuentes and Myron Gaines and all those guys. And actually, this just before I started recording this, I saw on X that Myron was trending. By the way, follow me on X if you haven't. The account name will be linked in the description box below. So if you're not following me, please do. Also, my other social medias will be down there as well. Um, but yeah, man, this is just very crazy stuff. It's really wild. Some are even saying he got stabbed. Like I don't know if this is true or not, but they're reporting he got stabbed. Obviously, X is a cesspool of bullshit, and they exaggerate everything just to make this is gonna make conservatives mad. Let's put it that way. All it does is it makes both political sides get more mad at each other, right? Because it's a never-ending dog and pony show. They're supporting a side that's controlled. Both these people. That's like my point with what I'm saying is the people on the left, left, far right, even in the center who are starting to realize that all these politicians don't really have our best interests. They never do what's good for the people. Even people that are leaning towards the center are now going to get misled to people probably not exactly like Jake Lang, but people like Fuentes, Myron Gaines, Jake Shields, Candace Owens. Like they fall down, even Alex Jones. Like they fall down these like sub-conspiracy rabbit holes where some of them are like pro-Trump or anti-Trump, but for the most part, it's mainly conservative. There's been a big divide within MAGA now. Did we see this one already? I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, that's really what it's created all this division because, let me get myself out of here. It's created all this division amongst the people who lean more conservative, right? The people on the left, they proved in 2020 that they will comply. At least the vast majority of them will comply with what the government wants. And now what's been going on since Trump has been selected back into his position as CEO of the Corporation of the United States of America, now they're just playing conservatives. They're getting conservatives on board and getting them ready for what's coming. Because let's be real, the liberals will most likely accept digital IDs and stuff, but the people who are MAGA, who are conservative leaning, they needed Trump to come back in to convince them that we need digital IDs and biometric data tracking, and maybe even credit scores for illegal immigrants. That's what it's all under the guise of getting illegals out of here, domestic terrorism. But who are the real domestic terrorists going to be? Is it going to actually be terrorists, or is it going to be people like me or you who comes up on here and spreads truth or just wants to have an opinion, right? Let's see. But yeah, man, I mean, this could be a controlled op thing. This could be fake. This could be staged. Who knows? There could be paid actors there. Or this could be organic and genuine. Because let's be real. Like, let's just say this is organic. It's like, why would you go? I mean, he's extremely outnumbered here. That's very obvious. These people are anti-ICE protesters. He's going to an anti-ICE protest to encourage more ICE and to encourage the deportation of illegals. And obviously he's outnumbered. I don't know how much security he has with him or had with him, if he even had any. But it's very risky what he's doing. I mean, these people, if they're in a crowd like that, they're basically just going to act like caged animals, and that's exactly how they're acting. And this makes people on the right go, oh, look at those liberals. They're dangerous. They're violent. And then all that has to happen is a vice versa event, and then the liberals will say, oh, wow, look at how, like January 6th, for example, oh, look at how crazy and wild the MAGA people are. Look, they're so incompetent. Look, they're just they're causing federal damage, and they're caged animals. Like, the conservative people need to be mentally evaluated, right? And it's just they go back and forth calling each other the same words. They give each other the same insults because there is no winning here, and that's what people can't understand. And I hope I'm not going too all over the place for you that you don't understand what I'm saying here. But that's what I'm trying to say is the vast majority of Americans, vast majority, I'm talking 9 out of 10 Americans, do not understand what's taking place, do not understand the shift that we're in right now. We're in the midst of going into the New World Order. We are in the midst of it, you know? Um, and I understand the illegal immigrant stuff, how that riles people up. Like, I got riled up by it too because I was falling for it. You know, I'm an American that's struggling to make ends meet, just like any other person right now in the United States. Um, because, and look, they're talking about how he does the splits here. Let's take a look at this picture. But yeah, man, I mean, I understand it. I really do. But the goal of my content is to make you see past these things. That this is all a show. This is all the mainstream media that's monopolized by the same people who print your money, you know? So these things are being shown for a reason. He kind of got overridden by the whole partying with Nick Fuentes and Myron Gaines and the Tate brothers. I actually just made a video on that 2 days ago, so check that out if you haven't, because it's really funny. But then also this happened this past week, and I think this happened on Sunday or something, and you know, it hasn't gotten as much attention as the whole Myron Gaines going party with Nick Fuentes and the Tate brothers, all that. But, you know, I mean, this is wild stuff, man, if this is legit. But also, you have to use logicality that if you're going to go protest against something, especially when you're completely outnumbered, and people take this stuff very serious, you know, ICE is a sensitive topic. It's not one of these political topics that people will take lightly. Like, if someone has an opinion on it, they're probably going to get emotionally charged up over it. And they can't take. You got to keep that in mind if you're going to go protest somewhere, is that if you're going to go somewhere where you're extremely outnumbered and these people are, a lot of them aren't showing their face, a lot of them are, you know, they're in groups of people, they're going to act crazy and you're going to get hurt. You can even get killed. And luckily no one was. But yeah, man, that's what I'm saying. And then apparently that's a gash, I guess, he had in his head. I mean, that looks very serious. I don't even want to show that up close. But you guys get my point here, right? With what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to see if there's just any more. Maybe we could watch this because there's a lot of it. A lot of it is the same videos. But overall, and you know, he's also making headline news here. I'll move myself out of the way, but. Yeah, man, you know, he's making headline news. He's, you know, he's all over X here. All these videos about him. Let's see how many followers this guy has. All right, well, he's got a decent following. Maybe he's got other platforms where he's got a bigger reach, but, you know, he's got a big following, and unfortunately, a lot of Americans are falling victim to the anti-Semitic stuff, and they're becoming Jew haters. Now, listen, I've spoken about many times how the whole Jew thing, like, it's not completely wrong, but it's misleading. There's obviously issues with Zionism. I'm not a Zionist. I'm not pro-Israel. But that whole thing is they've let the whole Jewish conspiracy thing get really big, especially in 2025, so that people would think it's all the Jews, and they would just hate Jews and think it's all Israel. And don't get me wrong, like, the New World Order, that's their country. They created Israel. Israel took that land from the people that were there, which would be the Palestinians. I understand that. But it's not just Zionists and Jews and Israelis or whatever. You know, they're partnered with Freemasons, with Satanists, with Jesuits, with a ton of other dark occults and secret societies that probably a lot of us don't even know of. But these people run it as an occult. They operate as an occult. That's why they get away with what they do. So anyway, what I'm trying to say here, and I'll wrap it up with this, is that I understand, like, you know, people think we live in the United States and we have to have this pride for our country and our country's the best and this and that. But here's the bigger picture that everyone seems to miss. It doesn't matter where you're from in the world. Of course, there's going to be cultural differences, things like that. But when it comes to opportunity and freedom, it shouldn't be that you have to travel and cross these imaginary borders into the USA just to have to be able to work and make money for yourself and for your family, or to have some sort of opportunity to do what you want, or even to say what you want, right? It shouldn't be that way. It should be that way all over the place, excuse me. It shouldn't be you have to go to this certain country or this certain place in the world to have fair and equal opportunity. It should be like that worldwide. And what the powers that be have done is they've created borders, they've created nations They've created tensions between nations and other skin colors and other nationalities, that other people from other nations don't like each other, so we're all divided. You see, it's all about divide and conquer, right? It's all about just creating problems like this. You see, this is what people need to understand. They need to get over politics. They need to get over the fact that their votes don't count. They need to get over the fact that a politician isn't going to come save them. They need to get over the fact that all of these problems we see are not organic and they are artificially manufactured problems, so that the people who started and created these problems can usher in the solution, which in turn is going to be less freedom, less rights for you, and it's going to be more rights, more freedom, and it's going to enrich the powers that be even more. The people who have monopolized media, who've monopolized banking and print your money, who've monopolized oil, right? Who've monopolized big pharma, the education industry. You know, the people I always talk about in my content. And again, whether this guy is a Fed or not, I mean, it's irrelevant at this point, because this is what's being shown. You know, there's a lot of news on it. I just showed you before how there was a lot of mainstream news covering this, right? And all it does is it riles people up. But here's the bigger picture that people always miss. I understand in the United States we think we're like the better than other people. We think we're the best country. But if you really want to talk about principle, morality, and the truth is that you shouldn't have to come into the United States for a fair and equal opportunity and to say what you want. It should be like that everywhere. It shouldn't just be in the United States. There shouldn't be borders. There shouldn't be countries. Obviously, depending on where you're from, there's going to be some differences culturally. But when it comes to just basic human rights, like being able to do what you want, being able to have access to food, water, shelter, and being able to say what you want and do what you want, that should just be a given human right. But it's not like that. We have laws in place depending where you are in the world, because the powers that be own this world, right? They've sucked the wealth away from us, not just in these third world countries, but in the U.S. as well. The U.S. is collapsing really fast. And the powers that be have sucked any sort of wealth away from us and any sort of truth away from us. They filled us up with hate. They filled us up with lies. And they filled us up with nothing good, really. I mean, we're so far from where we need to be to make any sort of real actual change in the world, because, again, people keep falling for the political stuff. They keep believing that the mainstream media tells them the truth. They keep believing politicians are on their side. So this is really hard to do. It's really hard to come up on here and make people realize these things, because people they can't imagine a world that's not this one. They keep just thinking that the system that was designed, is okay, and we just need to get the corrupt people out. No, the system is corrupt. It was designed, this whole system, to benefit a few, to enrich a few, and to make the rest suffer and be poor. And listen, if your family is not part of that dark occult, the enlightened one, so called, the people who pull the strings, if your family isn't a part of that, or you're not a part of that, then you're just an average person. I don't care if you're a millionaire, because when the dollar collapses, if you don't have something invested if you don't have anything invested in tangible assets, you're gonna be screwed. So, enough of that. I'll stop ranting here. I hope I said something to stimulate thought. Let me know what you guys think about everything I said about this whole Jake Lang situation and what you think about it. Like the video, share it around, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.